Wonderful. Can everyone see that slide? Perfect, perfect. I saw some thumbs up. So we'll get started real quick. My name, as Jamila said, is Sean Hips. I'm the Keep Orlando Beautiful coordinator, linked with the city of Orlando. Haley Jane, if you can see her below on my screen at least, is our community services specialist with Keep Orlando Beautiful. And so we're here today to talk to you guys about both what Keep Orlando Beautiful is and how we keep Orlando, the city, beautiful, as well as how you as a resident of the city of Orlando, or just as an individual nearby, even if you live in Orange County and want to cross over and help us out, can get involved and engage in some of our programs if interested. So with any further ado, we will get started.
I'll go ahead and dive us in about exactly who we are and what Keep Orlando Beautiful is. So we are actually a program that is administered by the City of Orlando Street and Stormwater Division. But in addition to that, we are also a 501c3 nonprofit and an affiliate of Keep America Beautiful. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard of Keep America Beautiful, so a little rundown about exactly what that is. It is this nonprofit organization, another 501c3. It's actually been in existence since the 1950s. And if you can see that little Native American man, that little poster on the side there, that was a very famous campaign that they actually ran in the 1970s. It was kind of a commercial where there was this man, he was walking around while people were littering, and you could see a lot of pollutants that were going on. And it was a really great Kickstarter for them, and they just kind of got a lot of local awareness from that. And they actually have over 1,000 affiliates across the entire United States now, which is absolutely fantastic. Ourselves here with Keep Orlando Beautiful, we've been in existence since 1987, so nearly 34 years. It's an absolutely great thing that we have going on. We're so happy to be able to offer it to our city residents. And one of the best things about it is we're actually able to offer all of our services that we're about to go over for free for our residents. So everything we talk about, because we have this great connection between a nonprofit and the city, is all great free services for you. So I'll let Sean dive into some of our offerings. Got it.
Apologies.
Bottom left.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Apologies. It's when I close it, it doesn't want me to reopen it, so I can unmute myself.
Oh, no.
With that being said, Haley, that's a great way of putting us where, as you said, we're in a really, really interesting niche here in the city of Orlando, where, as Haley mentioned, there's affiliates all over the country, and what you'll learn about Keep America Beautiful affiliates is not really any one is like the other in some ways. One can be fully nonprofit, have to do a great deal of fundraising on the side, and maybe not as many events, while others are fully governmental and really push forward whatever their government is focused on at that point in time. While we're a little bit of both, so we have a really great connection with the city, and we're able to leverage those connections and being within the city as a City of Orlando employee to really make a difference all over the area of the City of Orlando, as well as, you know, give back to our community residents, as Haley stated, at a free charge. In addition, just to the Keep America Beautiful side, so you guys know, there actually is an international Keep America Beautiful affiliate in Ghana, and it's just began a year and a half ago. So it's a really incredible program. And as Haley was saying, you guys can go all over if you're ever looking to get involved with Keep America Beautiful affiliates. Without going too much farther into some of our programs, what we always come into every day when we step into the Keep Orlando Beautiful office is a commitment to our mission statement. That is what really guides our actions as an organization. So if we're hosting a cleanup event, if we're putting in recycling bins, if we're removing graffiti, it all kind of comes back to our mission statement, which you guys can read here, and states we work to engage, educate, and empower the community to take pride in their environment through both litter prevention efforts, recycling, and beautification efforts. So we'll dive more into that throughout this entire PowerPoint, specifically on litter prevention, recycling, beautification efforts, and kind of touch on as well how we educate and empower the community through a variety of ways that you're able to get involved with us, depending on what fits you and your lifestyle the best. So with that said, I'll let Haley touch on our first program that's near and dear to our heart, which is litter prevention.
So litter prevention. So the first thing that we have to know about litter prevention is, why exactly do people litter? Which is a question that we do ask ourselves absolutely every single day, because it seems so easy not to do it. But Keep America Beautiful has actually done a lot of research to identify 3 main reasons that people do litter. The first one being that people feel no sense of ownership for that space that they're passing through or occupying. The second one being that they think that someone else is going to clean up after them. Both of those are very unfortunate, and the best thing that we have learned to combat this is actually education. So Sean's definitely going to dive more into that a little bit further into our presentation, but even just doing our events, and especially as young as we can, we do like to stress that, you know, those are not really the best ways that we should be feeling and how we can really combat that and make sure that people aren't really littering as much as maybe they are currently. So that last one being an area is already littered. That's why they feel like they're gonna throw some trash on the ground because, well, there's already a whole bunch of other trash. What does it matter if I also throw a piece down? Well, this actually ties into why we call this litter prevention, because we have actually found that if we are removing litter from an area and there's no litter there, it's going to keep litter from appearing. So it's preventing it from occurring again. So that is a great thing that we try to do with our programs, and we very much stress that. So diving into why is litter harmful? Basically, it's ugly. That's the easiest one that we could say. It's not very attractive. But like I was mentioning before, it attracts more litter, which is of course not a good thing. But that actually ends up harming our local businesses in a way that you might not really think about. If you're an individual walking down the street and you can either choose to go down one road that's looking very pristine, you're not seeing any litter, there's businesses down there, or there's another side of the street where it's looking, a little bit grosser. People have been throwing their trash on the ground. You're going to think maybe that side of the street isn't as well kept. Maybe the businesses aren't as nice, which of course isn't true, but these are just the way people perceive. So that is very harmful for local businesses. So we very much try to combat that. In addition, of course, it's not good for our waterways. Orlando has over 127 lakes, which is amazing. That's great that we have all those beautiful bodies of water, but it does mean that we have to work harder to keep the trash out of them. We want to make sure that they stay looking pristine. And that last one being, it hurts our native wildlife. So that does kind of tie into that waterway, but there's a lot of way in which litter is able to affect all those different wild creatures, whether it's food debris that's close to a roadway. So that's going to be attracting your raccoons, your deer, and then of course we don't want them getting hit. And then all sorts of things that people don't think about, sandwich baggies, bottles that small animals can climb in and get stuck in. So these are all things that we try to prevent through our little litter prevention efforts. So I'm going to let Sean now tell you guys a little bit about how you can get involved with our programs.
Beautiful. Yeah, as Haley mentioned, litter prevention is near and dear to our heart. It's one of the main reasons, Keep Orlando Beautiful is around, in addition to some other topics we'll talk on. And with that in mind, we have a variety of ways for you as a resident to engage in litter prevention efforts with Keep Orlando Beautiful. We really fit a variety of methods depending on what your need for attending the event is. So I'll first go into our private cleanup side. If you're looking to schedule a private cleanup with Keep Orlando Beautiful, we can make that happen. We often work with large organizations in scheduling private cleanups. To mention a few: Disney, Wells Fargo, JetBlue, some of those organizations. If they're trying to host a day of service, they contact myself or Haley through email or over the phone. We identify a date with them that they may be interested in or that Keep Orlando Beautiful has available. Often our scheduling of events is on a Saturday morning from 9 to 11. We don't try to exceed 2 hours based on weather and just physical labor that our events entail. We also try to host them in the mornings based on the finicky weather of Florida all the time. And so when an individual contacts us, we identify the date. We'll make sure the 9 to 11 time works. We are versatile and adaptable. If an organization contacts us with enough time for us to, make sure all the details of the event work. So we work with all large organizations on private events. We'll work with, maybe some smaller ones such as Scouts of America, Boy Scouts. We work with a lot of local schools here in the city of Orlando, or even in the Orange County public school system, if they're able to come into the city of Orlando area and work on a project. So we work really with groups who either they just want it to be a team building exercise, or perhaps, for one example, recently we hosted 2 events in a row with a group called Miss Earth USA, which if any of you have watched or followed them, it's a gigantic Earth pageant where these ladies are very sustainability focused in their missions, and they become incredible advocates all over the world for sustainability and in the ways that they think they can improve. So we hosted 2 events with them, and their events had to be strictly with their group. No outside individuals, unfortunately, coming in, and they had 50 volunteers at each. So we have that ability to schedule private events. Additionally to our private cleanups, kind of branching off of there, we have an Adopt a Street program, but we also began an Adopt a Spot program, specifically during COVID-19, similar to our neighborhood relations team starting their lunch and learns. We had to adapt a little bit as well. And so we began an Adopt a Spot program where if an individual goes to our website or calls our phone, they can fill out a form online. And it basically just entails with how many volunteers do you believe will be involved in your area of cleaning. We crafted it for it to be only family units, since you wouldn't be involving outsiders per se during COVID-19 that you may not know their whereabouts and stuff. So with that said, you fill out the form. We craft up an entire litter prevention packet or a graffiti removal packet based on which one you would like to engage in your area. And we actually come out and drop those supplies off at your home. Supplies can consist of litter pickers, bright orange safety vest, mini hand sanitizer, latex gloves, trash bags, and a KOB activity sign in sheet, just so that we can get a record of the activities that you engage in. So we basically give you all the supplies you need to engage in a cleanup of your own if you do not feel comfortable enough either scheduling a private event, or as I'm about to discuss, coming out to one of our public events. Obviously, with the climate of COVID-19 right now and everything else in the world, you know, we want to give everyone the opportunity to engage in litter prevention if they see a need in their area. And so that's kind of our private side, and I'm happy to discuss that more if anyone has additional questions moving forward. And then on our public event side, as you can kind of see in the bottom right here, let me move this for you. In the bottom right, we have a lot of annual events. So KOB, we don't necessarily craft up too many different public events based on the annual events we have, because they take so much, you know, management time, all of that. But we do host a variety of public events throughout the year. So as you can see, we hosted one in January, our MLK Seedlings for Civil Rights event. We actually worked at the Dr. Smith Center with Commissioner Bakari Burns there. We just hosted our electronic and textile recycling event in February, and we actually had 358 attendees pass by, donating or dropping off over 17,000 pounds worth of electronic and textile recycling material. And so we host those type of events. We have a Great American Cleanup, which is actually titled our City Beautiful Waterway Cleanup, coming up in April of this year on April 10th, if anyone's interested. And then we also have Earth Day events coming up in April, one on April 22nd in Ivanhoe Village, if anyone's interested. So that's just a quick overview that KOB also offers public events. And if you're interested in RSVPing or attending one of these and volunteering for one of these events, we often create flyers for these. We post it on our Facebook, we post it on our KOB website, which we'll show at the end of our PowerPoint. We also work with our neighborhood relations team to kind of shoot that messaging all through our Nextdoor medium and app. We also work with our City of Orlando website in general to have them post it a few times or share it in a newsletter if we know our public events coming up. So there's a great deal of ways you can be informed about our events, but if you really want to be informed, you can provide us with your email, and we send out, Keep Orlando Beautiful sends out a quarterly newsletter, or you can follow us on Facebook where we're always posting them. We have not posted as many as of late due to COVID-19. We've really been kind of particular while adhering to CDC and City of Orlando protocols related to COVID-19. So we've been kind of particular in what we're posting and promoting, because unfortunately we don't want to have too many people arrive and not be able to safely conduct an event because of that occurring. So with that said, that's a really quick overview of our litter prevention focus, which is near and dear to our heart and makes us kind of beat as an organization, and the ways you can either get involved in your own or actually come out and see us at some of our public events. You know, it just depends on what we're doing. We can be doing graffiti removal, recycling, and a few other things that we'll actually start talking about here. And I'll let Haley take over the next slide, which I believe is her lovely job of running our entire graffiti removal program of the City of Orlando.
It is true.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so as Sean was mentioning, I do run all the graffiti removal here in the City of Orlando, which is always a fun, exciting time. But it's not just me, it can also be you guys, because we do have opportunities for our residents to get involved as well. Just like Sean was mentioning with all those litter prevention events that we do, we also do have opportunities for graffiti removal as well. So if you want to look at that picture right there on the slide, that is actually one of our local parks, Greenwood's Urban Wetlands. they actually have this very large storm drain that unfortunately does get tagged quite often. People go in there and they go ahead and spray paint and graffiti. But it does allow us a unique opportunity for residents to get involved with a different type of, I don't know, beautification effort. So that is something that they're able to do. We do provide all the equipment, make sure everyone's, staying safe and having proper safety equipment so they're not breathing in anything they shouldn't if they're working with spray paint, and making sure we're having the nice boots on that they have because it is a storm drain. It does get a little wet in there. But we do have plenty of other sites and opportunities, as well as our Adopt a Spot programs, which I know Sean mentioned. They do also have graffiti kits as well. So we would provide you with some, it's called what is it called? Green Up, I think it's called. No, it's some type of spray that you go ahead and you can spray onto graffiti that's on things like metal poles, as well as some nice steel wool and scrub brushes, and it does remove it. So if you guys are less interested in the litter prevention and more interested in the graffiti removal, that is something that you guys are able to do. So if you guys are ever driving around town and you do happen to see some of these tags, you guys have an opportunity to report them directly to us through one of our programs called See Quick Fix. So what you do is you go ahead, snap a picture of that. You are going to go onto the City of Orlando website where they're going to have a nice little section that says report a problem. You can go ahead and click on that, and then it'll have you click on report graffiti, and then it'll bring you to See Quick Fix. Now, this is great because it actually allows our residents to connect directly with us so we can go ahead and communicate about this graffiti. So you're going to be posting that picture, a location, and even if you guys happen to know a rough time frame of when that tag appeared. So say maybe you drove by earlier in the day, you didn't see it, but you came home from work that night and then there was a new tag there. That is great information that you can provide us because we actually do work directly with Orlando PD. So if you have this information for us, we do pass it on to them through an app called Graffiti Tracker. Now, this is good because if they do have any leads on who might be doing this graffiti, then they are going to have all this evidence pulled up there because it seems kind of silly, but they do directly put the same tag because they want to identify themselves as that. So it does work very well for us for tracking purposes. So we do appreciate any efforts that you guys have when it comes to that. As well as that, there is direct communication. So you're going to go ahead and report that, and we're going to confirm with you that we saw that you have reported that graffiti. And then we'll go out there, check it out, and if we do get the opportunity to remove it right then, we'll go ahead and respond to you guys and say that we removed it. If there are some sort of complications with it, we will update you and send it off to the proper channels and let you know. So a lot of people feel like they're a voice in the wind when it comes to talking to their local government. So it is a great opportunity to stay directly involved with you guys. Now, jumping back a little bit. So why is graffiti harmful? Why are we reporting it? Well, a big thing is it is a big harm to our local businesses. So it is very similar to not to the graffiti, to the litter, as I mentioned before. If there is one person who is going to be graffitiing, there is a good chance that it is going to be attracting more of them. And the more and more graffiti that accumulates in an area, it is just going to end up looking not so great, and it's not really going to be the best for our local businesses. So on top of keeping people away from wanting to go into their local businesses, it is attracting other things as well, whether that be people who are loitering and, potentially dropping more litter. So it's just continuing to dirty that area and ultimately just not making it a very good look. So it is a very good program that we do try to run here and make sure that we try to keep as much graffiti out of Orlando as we can. So like I said, we do have See Quick Fix, and then we also have our hotline right down there at the bottom. So you can give us a call about those reports or just right through the website. And then we'll have our contact information at the end again for more information about the graffiti removal process. But I will go ahead and let Sean jump into our next endeavor.
Sean, you're breaking up a little bit, or a lot, I should say. Sean, you're breaking up a lot. You're still breaking up. Technology, don't we love it? Okay. While Sean is getting reconnected, um, I just want to thank you all again for joining us. This is our Keep Orlando Beautiful Lunch and Learn with Sean Hips and Haley Jane. We just had a few more people join us, so I just want to make sure I give that introduction that you're in the right place. Sean, whenever you get reconnected, let me know.
Yeah, if he's having issues, I mean, I might be able to continue on that
Yeah,
PowerPoint if
feel
he's able
free.
to continue that slide, if he's
Um,
able to. We'll see here.
Go ahead, Haley. That'll be great. We love Sean. Whenever he's ready, he can
I
pick
do
back up.
love Sean whenever he's ready.
But
I mean, I could dive into some
please,
future slides that we were going to be talking about. Sure. Another thing that we do is we have a lot of beautification efforts that we do. So you'll see it now in a further slide. But on top of doing graffiti removal, we do also do things such as tree plantings and mulchings and park restorations. So this is a great thing that we are able to do with that. When it comes to those tree plantings, did you get it, Sean? That we are able to do with that. When it comes to those tree plantings, there we go. Thank you, Sean, for pulling up that slide. Yeah, so when it comes to those tree plantings, I know Sean did kind of bring up he did bring up our MLK Day event that we do in January every year. And that is something that we do love to do because we try to plant as many trees as we can for those events. So in a couple previous years, we were able to plant over 100 trees in just like 2 hours. So it is a very successful thing, and we do love the opportunity to do those. Another thing that we can do with those tree plantings is we did have one of our Adult Earth Day events, which we also try to do annually. We did a shoreline planting, so to try to keep one of our local lakes, we're trying to keep their shorelines restored and make sure that it's not eroding. And there were over 2,000 shoreline plants that were planted for that. So that is another one of those amazing things that we get to do. When it comes to our mulching, there is all sorts of different parks around Orlando that sometimes need a little bit of sprucing up. So we actually love it if residents are able to reach out to us and have any suggestions and say, hey, I was at this park and maybe it was needing like a little bit of new mulch or something like that. That's always great information that we do love to hear because we can't be at all the parks all the time. So if you have information like that, we do like to hear it. But the mulch that we use, we try to use recycled mulch whenever we can, which is a great way to kind of give back. So any of those trees that we have that maybe weren't doing so good and they ended up needing to come down, they can go ahead and give right back and just become more mulch for their tree friends in the future. So that's something that we do like to do. We also do have park restorations. That's something that we can do where if you guys are familiar with the Florida sun, it gets to be a little hot and a little intense, and it can kind of deteriorate some of the paint quality on some of our park equipment, maybe that outdoor exercise equipment or playgrounds, everything in that nature. So it is great. We do go ahead out there with paints as well as that stuff that I was mentioning before for graffiti removal. It's actually the same stuff that we use for go ahead and cleaning up like benches and things like that, and it gives it like a nice clean shine. So those are some fun opportunities that we're able to do as well. I'm sure you guys have seen us when we're doing some of these events before, or at least you've seen some of the places that we have beautified because it's everything from our recreation centers, local neighborhoods, schools even. So there's lots of different opportunities there, and it's just wherever we see the need is where we end up doing these types of events. Sean, are you working? Do you want to continue with our previous slide?
You can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. So sorry, everyone. As Haley was alluding to, we battled that Florida sun, and I think my computer was battling it outside and did not like it and lost. So as Haley discussed, beautification projects are near and dear to our heart as well. That's something we really focus on specifically during these months that are actually coming up, our March or April or May. It's a nice time to get stuff in the ground if there is areas to beautify. And so we're doing a lot of that. As I mentioned earlier, that's kind of where some of our public events are coming up. So if you're interested in moving around some recycled mulch, sprucing up a local park, helping us out in Ivanhoe Village or out even near Lake Fran or something of that nature, please RSVP for one of our public events at the end of this. But I'll go back really quick because I believe we skipped over our waste reduction and recycling efforts as I was frozen or wonky. So real quick to touch back on this part, KOB wears a lot of different hats. Just depends on what opportunity you're looking for. We probably have a way of either connecting you with the right people or providing it to you ourselves. And one of those opportunities is for individuals, if they're hosting an event within the city of Orlando limits. Doesn't even have to be at a city of Orlando venue. That just makes it a little bit easier if it is. But Keep Orlando Beautiful has a Recycle Orlando program. So if you are interested in having these foldable recycling racks, which you can see an image of on the left-hand side of your screen, if you're interested in having some of those foldable recycling racks brought out to your venue because there's not recycling already available at the venue you're hosting an event at, we will bring those out free of charge. All we ask from you is that you return all of those items back to us in the same condition we provided them to you. Otherwise, there may be a replacement fee involved, which we hope you would understand from a nonprofit side. We provide you with the tops, the foldable racks, and all the recycling, clear recycling bags you will need for your event. We can actually even go ahead and work with our solid waste department to have a solid waste dumpster put out on site at your venue, so that the items you collect in those recycling racks get disposed of properly. They don't just end up in a single stream waste cycle as well. You know, you don't just do that aesthetically pleasing thing and then it doesn't meet it on the back end. So we make sure it's a full cycle process if you ever want to get involved and have recycling at any of your events that may not have bins already out there. With that said, Keep Orlando Beautiful, you know, our mission statement spoke upon recycling. It's near and dear to our heart, as well as litter, as well as graffiti. And the way it's near and dear to our heart is we've actually installed 20 plus bins within our city of Orlando, 20 plus permanent recycling bins that have either replaced or were the first ones of their kind in a city of Orlando park. So the bins you see down at Lake Eola, Lake Underhill, Park of Americas, or Blue Jacket Park over in Baldwin, all of those were actually put in by funds from Keep Orlando Beautiful from our once-a-year fundraiser, which we'll touch on later on in the PowerPoint. And so we not only provide you guys with kind of temporary recycling options if you're hosting an event, we provide you with permanent recycling options at a lot of these venues and areas where our city residents are you know, going and enjoying our recreational sites. So we're actually working on installing 5 bins at Lake Baldwin Harbor Park, all around Harbor Park. If you've ever walked around there, biked, rollerbladed, all sorts of things happen out there. So we're putting 5 recycling bins out there as well. We'll kind of touch on how we're able to do that later in this PowerPoint. So I will keep jumping. We talked about beautification. So we also try to educate individuals. From my standpoint, personally, I'm a great learner of hands-on education. So that's why you see us hosting a lot of private and public events. We like to educate people while they're out on site. But if you don't have the opportunity to come out to a site, join us for a Saturday morning or something of that nature, we are able to, you know, speak to you, whether in person at a community meeting or in a school, or we can schedule a virtual kind of opportunity such as we're doing right now. Obviously, things have kind of changed over this past year and a half. So we host a variety of education opportunities, as you can kind of read up on a little bit here. I won't go into too much depth on each of them unless you specifically would like to talk about it at the end. But we have a Enviroscape, which kind of is a 3D model showing of how pollutants come from all sorts of different sections of your city or your community, and why it's important to, you know, understand where pollutants are coming from and how we can divert those from our waterways and water sources, because obviously we don't want pollutants in our water for a variety of reasons. We can speak on litter, obviously. We speak on graffiti removal. We speak on recycling. We speak on reduction habits such as reduce, reuse, recycle. That's a big part of our once-a-year fundraiser that we host, which is how we also educate people. And so if you're ever interested, whether you're part of a, you know, a community who hosts a community meeting every bi-weekly or bi-monthly of something of that nature. We've sat on Audubons, we've sat on college parks, we've sat on the Paramore community meetings discussing opportunities, and we've gone to plenty of schools, and we've worked with plenty of organizations and plenty of age ranges. So we're very versatile in that regard if you're just looking to learn about more of the programs we offer and why they're important. And we also have a variety of other individuals in the city of Orlando, which you may even get to have a lunch and learn with them, such as Greenworks Orlando or our Water Rec Education Center, which is hosted by Alyssa over there, are incredible sites as well to be educated on some of the things that are happening in the city of Orlando and why it's important for these sustainability practices to be upkept. So with that said, education is another one of our hats. as well as Trash to Trends and Evening of Recycled Fashion. So I can't see the names of everyone's in here, but I'm going to hopefully say one or two of you have either heard about Trash to Trends or gotten to attend it. We've hosted this event for 7 years. We're hopefully going into our 8th. We're working on scheduling this for potentially 2021 in the fall. Obviously, COVID has made it a little bit difficult. And so for you of those who have not heard about this event nor attended, shame on you, just kidding. It's a wonderful event. It's our once-a-year fundraiser I alluded to, and it's a night and evening where leading up to it, we push out a call for artists where we ask designers, innovators, creative individuals all throughout. You can be from different states as long as you know that this is going on. And we put out a call for artists, and all you have to do is fill out a form. And within that form, we ask you to submit a design of a garment, a gown, some type of expressive clothing piece. But the caveat is it has to be entirely made out of recycled materials. Within that form, there's a little bit more specifics in terms of what recycled materials. We've encountered a lot of the same ones over and over. So we've gotten a little more meticulous here and there. If you want more information on that or even to see the form, I'm happy to send it to you at the end of this presentation and go into it more if you even on a private phone call. But the whole wrap up of that is we end up getting about 50 plus submissions every year. And what we do is we cut it down to 30 designers who we then host at SeaWorld's Ports of Call venue, where we put in a 49-foot long fashion runway with professional lighting, music. We host a meet and mingles party an hour and a half beforehand with hors d'oeuvres, with live animals, tabling of local vendors in Orlando. And then what happens is we have 3 local judges who judge the designs as they go up and down the runway. We host a live fashion show, basically, if you've ever seen one or attended one. And the judges are all local individuals. Some have been Commissioner Sheehan. Marcy Singhouse was one of our judges, as well as we had Sam Singhouse, always our host, incredible individuals. And so we've had a really deep connection with Orlando through this event. We have 500 attendees every year. We give out 4 different awards for 4 different categories. And to wrap that all up, the whole night is educating on the reduce, reuse, recycle aspect and how expansive it can be. And what happens at the end of this event is we often generate about $15,000 to $30,000 worth of fundraising. And so we put that money directly back into the city of Orlando and our communities by paying for those permanent recycling bins, in addition to paying for those being maintained. So all of that money we generate from the education aspect and the mission of reduce, reuse, recycle, we put back into reducing, reusing, and recycling in our community. And so that's a really incredible event. If you want to know more about it, happy to send you information and talk about it more. Again, we're hoping to schedule it for fall 2021. And it's the people that make up that event, people such as yourselves, the residents of Orlando. We get people from all over Philadelphia, North Dakota. I've met a lot of different individuals, and it's just good-heartedness and all there for the same reason, for community, for sustainability, for kind of thinking outside the box and changing up the constant. So with that said, that's really a quick roundup of Keep Orlando Beautiful in our programs as a whole. We wear a lot of different hats, as I said, so it's really brief information. And I'll let Haley kind of touch on a few ways you can learn more about us as well after this if you want to.
Yeah, I know that we're kind of throwing a lot of information at you guys, but basically, if you want to check out our website, it's the link is right there. Hopefully you guys would be able to follow that. Since this is recorded, you guys can go ahead and check it back if you need to. But if you guys just go ahead on the City of Orlando website, Keep Orlando Beautiful, we have lots of information on there for you guys, links to that graffiti information. So if you want to go ahead and report graffiti, there's a link to all of our educational programs, as well as this link here for becoming a volunteer. So if anything resonated that we talked with you guys and you have any interest in joining us at any future events, we do have that tab there. It will take you to a little form you can fill out. It'll just have some basic information, your email, and just what you are interested in doing more of. So it'll have different, specifications, whether or not it was one of our public, private, adopted spots. Of course, you're more than welcome to put in whatever thing kind of caught your eye and drew your attention. And then if you have any suggestions, you're always welcome to say, oh, I'd like to do this event, but maybe it's a little different. I don't know. We're always welcome. We're always welcome to more feedback because, we work for you guys. We like to see what you guys have to say about everything. So there's just our contact information right there on the side. So those are both of our email addresses as well as our city phone numbers. So you guys are more than welcome to give us a call or send us an email anytime regarding any questions. But if you do have questions, we are just about to jump into those now, which I know that Jennifer was going to be our lovely moderator. So if you want to take on over, that'd be great.
Thank you all very much for joining us for this Lunch and Learn. And one of the things that I made a note of is that if for some reason you will write down this contact information and can't find it 6 months from now, because you want to do something, feel free to reach out to us and we'll make sure that you all get in touch with KOB. And we did have a few questions. You touched on the fact that you all have an electronic waste and textile recycling event twice a year, which I personally participate in whenever I can. I will tend to save things up, and it's great that you all have it every 6 months or so. One of the questions that we had is, what types of specific things can people bring to that event?
Wow, I don't know if I've heard that one before. Sorry, I'm just like that. So with that, I can actually send you our flyer, which actually lists out every single item that they accept, in addition to providing you the contact information for both the companies that we work with recycling items. So I can provide you with the contact for the textiles as well as electronics. Electronics is a little more specific on a few items. So if you have an electronic item you're not sure about, you just give them a call. They're named A1 Assets. I'll send all that information to Jamila and Jennifer if you guys can distribute it to the participants in this meeting. And if you have a question about the specifics, they are happy to answer that. We always get that kind of running up to our events, and I always kind of shift it to them if I'm not super sure. I've had fans, I've had light bulbs, I've had all sorts of interesting ones. More often than not, they accept it. They're a really, really great company. We've worked with them. We've done these events for at least the past 6-7 years. So we have a really great relationship with both A1 Assets Inc. and ATRS. So I can send that contact and they can be really specific with whatever items are in question.
I know that you all touched a little bit on graffiti and how long the process takes. That was one of the questions. How long does it take to get graffiti removed? And it sounds like you all either can get it removed right away, or you'll keep people in the loop on how that happens. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. So how it works is someone's going to go ahead and send that report in, and then we'll go ahead and confirm that we got the report. So as soon as we can, we're going to go out and check it out and see what it is, whether it's on private property, public property. If it's on public property, then that's great. I can go ahead and just remove it, assuming it's not a huge, large piece that somehow appeared overnight. But if it's just a nice, small, normal thing, as long as I get notified of it, then I should be able to remove it pretty promptly after the report. But there are different people that we sometimes need to reach out to. Sometimes they can be in some weird places. So if it is on private property, then we actually have code enforcement for that. That is who is the contact. We would go ahead and send it to them and say, hey, just so you know, this is here. If you can reach out to the people to make sure that they do remove it. Because, we can't personally go onto someone's private property and just be like, ha ha ha, and remove their graffiti, which maybe some people would appreciate, but others not so much.
With that,
yeah, go ahead, Sean.
with that said, on private property, it's a case by case basis, really.
Yeah.
If any of you who are in on this meeting have lived or driven down Mills 50, you may have seen a variety of tags constantly, unfortunately. And we know the Main Street director there, we know the business owners there. And so depending on if it's a vacant building or if it's a small business that is constantly in tag, we work directly with them if we have the ability to provide graffiti wipes or provide, even potential side paint if we have any left over that fits the paint that they have on their building. We try to provide a variety of options to helping some of these businesses if we know they're just encountering on a daily basis, no fault of their own. Some of the vacant buildings you may see readily tagged, there is no property owner, there is no business owner there for us to even speak with. So that is when we may have to take it a step next where code enforcement can actually identify who the property owner is, link the actual number to who owns it, and then proceed correctly from there. So often if we get a report and it's public, it'll take us 1 to 3 days. I usually have Haley, she's out there 2-3 times a week, literally just combing the city of Orlando, taking care of reports in her truck. If it's a private property one, then depending on where it is, we're actually dealing with a railway one right now. That one's going to take us a little bit more because unfortunately the railway, they don't always feel as strongly about getting graffiti rid of on their tracks as we might. Similar to AT&T, we cover all the AT&T boxes. They never actually come out and cover their own graffiti. So there's some relationships that we're working on developing more to where the third party private property owners may want to come out and actually handle it in a timely manner, but sometimes it may take a month, it may take a little longer, unfortunately. So we work through different divisions. We even work through our facilities department. If, say graffiti's in a park or something like that, we work with them to have a power washer go out there and take care of it. So just depends on where it is and what route we need to go. But we try to handle it within a week's time at the most, if possible.
Okay, wonderful. One of our participants asked if the PowerPoint presentation or the slides will be posted to a group page somewhere. And Jamila mentioned that she will make sure